Chapter 1. In the Beginning. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Inigo Montoya, The Princess Bride. Eve's Beguilement. At the heart of any Judeo-Christian religion is a very specific garden. Nearly every human knows the central characters in that garden, whether or not that person believes they existed. Any child in Sunday school can repeat what transpired, why, and by whom. This origin story is tightly woven into our culture, affecting every relationship between males and females, as well as the roles they inherit. To explore a woman's role in any type of priesthood capacity, we must first unpack some very deeply embedded cultural and Judeo-Christian misconceptions that go back to what many consider the beginning. Throughout history, and still prevalent in some cultures today, is the stilted view of Eve's part in the fall and her subsequent place in humanity. People have taken certain scriptures from Paul, see 1 Timothy chapter 2 verses 12 through 14, and 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verses 34 and 35, to condemn Eve, building a false foundation for Eve and her daughter's supposed inferiority and subordination to man. Two such arguments made are that Eve is inferior because 1. The serpent beguiled her, and 2. She was made after Adam. Let's first discuss the correct meaning of the word beguile. The 1828 edition of Webster's Dictionary defines beguile as to delude, to deceive, or to impose on by artifice or craft. Webster's even quotes Genesis chapter 3 verse 13 as an example of the word. Eve's perceived mistake was definitely baked into the culture of the day. Because of this tradition, many believe that beguile simply means to be tricked or deceived. Culture often creates subtle overlays in a group's dynamics. The specific doctrine on a topic may be entirely different than what is actually played out within a group. Culture also comes into play with certain translations. The translators of the King James Version of the Bible were all steeped in a philosophy of original sin beliefs and practices. But Dr. Nahama Ashkenazi, a Hebrew scholar, writes that when accounting for her actions, Eve chose an uncommon Hebrew verb. He writes that beguiled has retained an extraordinary flavor in Hebrew and is only used on rare and unusual occasions. Translations that opt for deceive or trick instead of beguiled lose the wealth and innovation of the woman's lexicon. Dr. Ashkenazi goes on to explain that Eve's choice to eat of the fruit was after and through intense puzzling contemplation that involved Eve questioning and pondering her role, not only in the garden, but also for eternity. Eve was not tricked into eating the fruit in the sense that she did so blindly. Eve began questioning the possible purpose of the tree, a gateway to greater intellectual capacity, and a possible future that was closer to what the Father is living. By using this verb, Eve described the internal mental process that took place before she ate the fruit. A true translation of beguile is much more complex and rich than the merely base, damning, and culturally tainted one of tricked. The latter creates a mental image of a weaker, less intelligent Eve in the minds of the readers, where if the Hebrew lexicon of her language is studied, we find quite the opposite. Another translation of Genesis chapter 3 verse 13 reads, "And the woman replied, 'The serpent caused me to feel responsible or guilty, and I ate.'" What did she feel responsible for? Perhaps Eve felt responsible for the fact that they were childless, that she was barren, and Satan insinuated that it was her fault. Through her elegant wording, wrote Dr. Ashkenazi, the woman has lifted her disobedience to the level of a momentous event of great mental and existential significance. Motives. It's not just what Satan did say when he communicated with Eve, but what he didn't say that made his claims deceptive. He claimed she wouldn't die, but she certainly would, and she would suffer much on the way to death.